Hi dear friends, welcome to Akshaya Dare. I am Devraj. Let's start today's newspaper reading. I hope you guys are following the same tips to improve your communication in English and also following at least reading the newspaper 40 minutes to 2 hours every day to improve our communication the next 30 days. It's been this is the only this is the 24th video already, so I'm going to update in YouTube. I hope before going to start this session, I would request you everyone to please subscribe to my channel, like and comment. If you guys have any doubts or any queries, please leave the comment in the comment box or write at aksharadhare.india@gmail.com so that I can help you out to resolve your query. So I hope you guys are doing great and learning great and working towards to improve our communication. Let's start today's newspaper reading. Dear friends, let's start today's newspaper reading. This is the front page in Bangalore edition. The Hindu newspaper, which is very important for the point of examination. So please read and follow the tips to improve your communication in English. This is the government, the propaganda. Yes, this is the front page. Every experts review India's Cheetah project. High decibel campaign comes to an end. Crashed IAF jet kills 3 civilians in Rajasthan. The Hill Valley divide in Manipur. Better facilities and jobs are found in the valley. Razzle and Rinku take care first. PBKs. In Impal, state relief camps lose tribals test. Class 10 exam results out. Pass percent is 83.89%. The crisis in Manipur is a humanitarian problem. As the court's order will be discussed with all stakeholders. Shopkeepers along expressway continue to stare at losses. They say political parties don't seem to be interested in solving their livelihood issues with a long-term vision. People traveling today will have to shell out more private buses. Padmanabh Nagar and Bangalore South have re-elected their MLAs thrice, but problems persist. Rest of bars and pubs stand to witness business losses. Congress and BJP workers clash at BTM layout. Political parties go an extra mile to woo migrant voters with special meetings and campaigns. Elaborate security arrangements for polling day in city. 72-year-old pedestrian dies of injuries after being knocked down by a motorcycle in Kengeri. CCB cracks 10 NDPS cases, arrest 19 peddlers. Nothing like voting. I vote for shoes. Yes, guys. If anybody having their name in the voter list, but they don't have voter card, in such cases they also can vote for for this election, Karnataka Assembly election. So they must have, but they have to carry these documents, these any documents among 12 given documents: one Aadhaar card, driving license, MGNR, EGA job card, smart e-card issue under MO, Ministry of Labor and Establishment, Labor and Employment, a bank, a post office passbook with photograph, Indian passport, a health insurance, smart card of mine, Ministry of Labor, pension document with photo, PAN card, official identity card of MLA or MP, identity card of government, public companies, justice, social justice department, identity card for persons with disabilities. They can carry these documents to vote if they don't have voter card. Results dipped by 1.24% points. Officials say difficulty level of question papers was higher. Hence, it is inferred that the performance of students in this year's examination has improved by 12.09% when compared to a 2019 to 26 KS EAB achievement. 67.53% for BBMP schools. Download admission ticket for CET 2023. Bhumika aspires to become an astronaut. Farmer's grandson fulfills his dream. Personal tragedy didn't stop this Saundati girl. This Vijaypura topper wants to join IIT. House collapses, lake breaches after short spell of rain in city. Last rites of Balarama performed. Cyclonic storm Mocha will not impact polling day. Your favorite reality show contestant deserves your vote. 5 arrested for taking away valuables. High decibel public campaigning comes to an end. Roadshows and rallies organized by political parties in several parts amid a strain. Candidates can do door-to-door campaigning today. A day ahead of polling in the assembly elections. Election Commission on high alert to check inducements during silent period. Congress bid to instigate Veerashaiva Lingayat community has failed, says Vijay Yadiyurappa. Pre-poll seizures in Karnataka made so far since the announcement of the 2023 assembly elections crossed today record 375 crore on Monday. Virajpet Assembly constituency is set to witness a neck-to-neck fight. Kerala orders a judicial probe into board tragedy. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief at the loss of 22 lives. The state announces 10 lakh aid to clean up victims, while Centre offers 2 lakh from this PM's National Relief Fund. State to examine if guidelines are being followed when giving license for the boats. Boat owner arrested from Kozhikode. Harikumpam mark charges at bust in Tamil Nadu. Now Election Commission issues notice to BJP. Hyderabad women among 9 killed in Texas shooting. India's China strategy needs to be debated. Let me read today editorial page, which is written by the Shashi Tharoor, who is the member of the Lok Sabha. India's China strategy needs to be debated. The Chinese have a knack for making headlines on India's borders. The latest move in April saw them renaming 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh, which they considered to be Jangam, or in English, a South Tibet. The announcement was made after approval from the State Council, implying a green light from the
very top of the Chinese system. Zhang and Yangpon of the Institute of Chinese Borderland Studies of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences claims that China's move to standardized name in Jiangnan completely falls within China's sovereignty, and it is also in concordance with the regulation and the administration of geographical names alongside held tactic much provocation. India responded typically by rejecting outright this act of nomenclatural aggression on part of the Chinese. But it is that enough? The renaming of disputed territories has been a long-held tactic of the Chinese government, and this is the third batch of renaming with reference to Arunachal Pradesh. More significantly, it is not the first provocative act of Chinese provenance in recent months. Ever since the unresolved stand-up at Galwan in June 2020, there has been no serious attempt by Beijing at a resolution, let alone a restoration of the status quo ante, while several instances of further provocation have occurred from the Chinese side. Another border skirmish in December 2022 in the Tawang area showed that whatever policy the Ministry of External Affairs is masking with its anodyne statements, it is not ensuring deterrence. India has lost access to 26 out of 65 patrolling points in eastern Ladakh, according to a research paper submitted by a senior police officer at the annual police meet in Delhi last December. The play safe approach has turned areas that were accessible before April 2020 for patrolling by the Indian Army into informal buffer zones, resulting in the loss of pasture lands at Gogra Hills, the north bank of Pangong Tso, and Kokjung areas. This is a matter of national security and of grave concern. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assures the nation that no Indian territory has been occupied, but such surrenders of access to lands traditionally used by Indians have become a routine. Yet, the government refuses to openly call out the Chinese threat. The Prime Minister was willing to stand up and proclaim that this is not an era of war, while sharing a platform with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the leader of a warring country with which India shares deep and friendly relations. What stops him from speaking out on a series of egregious transgressions by China on its own country's borders, explaining the Indian stand? Like, there are arguably several factors that have possibly led to the Indian aversion to denouncing the Chinese. Pimon Jacob has identified several the growing forward differential between the two countries, uncertainty about the strategic actions of major powers such as the US. In case of a military stand-up, the military capability differential between the two countries, India is not equipped for a major war with China. Pressure from Indian business interests anxious to safeguard trade. India's trade dependence on China has now crossed over 100 billion. Lack of consensus within the various ministries of the government about the kind of response the Chinese threat merits. The lack of political will within an increasingly hyper-nationalist image conscious Bharatiya Janata Party government. Mr. Modi is obsessively anxious not to appear weak, especially just in advance of a general election. These considerations have led to the emergence of overcautious self-restraint on the part of the Indian government, marked by a refusal to permit even a basic discussion of China in Parliament. On the ground of national security, this overlooks a growing Chinese self-assertiveness on its land and sea borders, bordering on belligerence, which has already set alarm bells ringing in a number of Asian capitals and in Washington. Is India repeating the errors made in its pre-1962 engagement with Communist China? Nehru's vision of India and China as the two major South Asian civilizations led to India being one of the first countries to recognize the communist government in China and ended up with its softening its line on China's invasion and occupation of Tibet. its encroachment on India's border and its cartographical aggression in the pursuit of Chinese goodwill, Mr. Modi account's policy of Chinese appeasement seems easily similar and could hand just as badly. What lesson does this have for Indian response today? The ruling party vociferously argues that in the 1950s, India failed to call a spade, behaved too cautiously in its diplomacy, and left too much for too late. The only difference 60 years later appears to be that the Indian government is today reinforcing its border defenses and building roads and other infrastructures on the Indian side. While these may appear prepare India better to resist a people liberation army sweep into India, it does nothing to deter Chinese build up and continuing salami slicing tactics on the disputed frontier, while India's diplomacy only emboldens Beijing and leaves potential allies perjured. Only if an acknowledgement of the problem can there be the initiation of a process of resolving it. China's assertive image building exercise. As a one party state, China doesn't have to worry about public approval. But the Chinese Communist Party has showed up its domestic credibility by valorizing its international image. Once anchored in the peaceful rise theory, it is now about showing strength, determination, economic might, and an unwillingness to compromise on what it sees as its core national interest. The absence of a tough rhetorical response to Chinese actions in public is usually viewed there as a Chinese gain, whereas acrimony in public in unsettle them. In fact, China's public image is a source of its vulnerability. It has always had a fear of being isolated in global affairs. This is why its assertiveness today is accompanied by a diplomatic avatars in Europe, Russia, and West Asia to hard and adroit diplomatic gloss to its uncompromising military determination. India was able to capitalize on China's major consciousness to get Masood Azhar blacklisted by the 1267 UN Sanctions Committee after China blocked India's efforts for more than a decade, cornering Beijing through nimble, stakeholder oriented diplomacy, so that in the hand, China didn't want to be seen as the lone holdout, as image matters to Beijing and can be exploited to India's advantage. When dealing with the Chinese, India must always remember Mark Taiwan observation that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. The period since the Galwan 2022 to 23, it is not the same as 1949 to 62, but the same pattern of appeasement and self-denial is ominously emerging. India is missing an opportunity to loudly and proudly raise matters of its own vital interest by not using a strategy that fractures China's image by challenging it publicly and its transgressions. The government must do Nehru did and take the Indian people into confidence. It is time for an urgent debate in Parliament on India's China strategy. Strategy. Yes. So this is about the India China dispute. Let's read this Buddhism India's soft power production projection tool. Let me make it visible. There is much significance to India having hosted a two-day global Buddhist summit in New Delhi, April 20 to 21, which was organized by the Ministry of Culture in a collaboration with the International Buddhist Confederation. The summit saw the participation of key figures from the global Buddhist community, including the Dalai Lama. It was at this summit that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid emphasis on the continuing relevance of the Buddha's teachings in today's world. The summit was a significant opportunity for India to project and connect with the Buddhist population around the world, thereby strengthening the country's soft power. India's support so far. The Indian government has been actively investing in its Buddhist diplomacy efforts, with a focus on promoting tourism through the development of the Buddhist tourist circuit. Additionally, Mr. Modi has made it a point to visit Buddhist sites during his Southeast and the East Asian visits. By hosting such a high profile event, the Indian government hopes to demonstrate its commitment to preserving and promoting Buddhist culture and heritage, as well as strengthening ties with the global Buddhist community. With its strong historical and cultural ties to Buddhism, India is well positioned to play a leading role in shaping the discourse on Buddhist issues on the global stage. Against the backdrop of the Russia Ukraine crisis, Mr. Modi said India has not given Yuddha to the word but Buddha. This resonates with his earlier statement of is telling the Russian President Vladimir Putin that this is not the era of war. The Delhi summit theme responses to the contemporary challenges philosophy of praxis also highlights India's attempts to provide an alternative to contested global politics with moral morality as the guiding principle. Buddhist diplomacy has the potential to promote a regional cohesion, given that nearly 97% of the global Buddhist population is based in Asia. During the Cold War, China effectively used Buddhist diplomacy to engage with its neighboring countries, and it continues to employ this approach to gain legitimacy for its Belt and Road Initiative. As India and China compete to dominate the Buddhist heritage as a tool for soft power, India holds an advantage due to the faith origins in the country. However, despite being home to a number of key Buddhist sites such as Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, and Kushinagar, India has struggled to attract Buddhist tourists who tend to favor sites in Thailand and Cambodia. The guiding principle of China Factor. India supports to position itself as a great power committed to cooperation rather than coercion, are rooted in its deep historical and cultural ties to the region. The current government's guiding principles for foreign policy, Panchamrit principles include Sanskrit Evam Sabhyata, which means cultural and civilizational links, which were highlighted during the Delhi summit, which saw a diverse group of 171 foreign delegates from South Korea, Thailand, Cambodia, Japan, and Taiwan, along with 150 delegates from Indian Buddhist organizations. Also in attendance were prominent scholars, Sangha leaders, and Dharma practitioners. Through such efforts, India hopes to reinforce its image as a responsible global power committed to peaceful cooperation and regional stability. By laying an emphasis on cultural and civilizational ties, India seeks to promote greater understanding and cooperation between nations and to demonstrate the unique role it can play in shaping the region's future. India recognizes the importance of Buddhism as a mean of conducting public diplomacy and has utilized it to its advantage. However, to maintain its edge over China, more action is needed. China is actively seeking to exert control over the appointment of the next Dalai Lama, which would be a blow to India's efforts to project its soft power through Buddhism. India must act to ensure that it remains a key player in the global Buddhist community. To further strengthen its Buddhist diplomacy, India should continue promoting Buddhism at the high levels of government, while also organizing cultural events to showcase the country's rich Buddhist history. The Indian Council for Cultural Relations could play a significant role in promoting such events within and outside India. Additionally, India should work to strengthen its ties with key Buddhist institutions and leaders around the world. The Abu Dhabi summit was a step in the right direction, providing a valuable opportunity for cultural exchange and the sharing of ideas. The film link. India also needs to utilize the reach of Bollywood in promoting its Buddhist heritage. China, with its influence over Hollywood, has completely dominated the narrative around Buddhism through cinema. In contrast, India is behind in this domain. There have not been any efforts made through cinema. India's G20 presidency this year could be used to promote Buddhist diplomacy on a bigger scale through various cultural meetings, especially as Buddhist teachings align with the motto of India's G20 presidency. One Earth, One Family, One Future. As Buddha was the first diplomat of peace, his teachings of peace and cooperation in these tough times can become the guiding light of Indian diplomacy on the world stage. This is about the Buddha, one family, one. That is what is that? One family, one earth, one family, one future. One earth, one family, one future. This is about the editorial page, guys. Let me go to the next page. The Moais are still a threat, not quite the Kerala story. The sharp divine that is Manipur's border. Army posted at the Myanmar Manipur border out overlooking the Kabha Valley. Three civilians has MiG-21 crashes into Rajasthan for to meet Nitish on May 11, calls for an alternative to NDA government. In Impal, state relief camps lose drivers' trust. As he says, Manipur crisis a humanitarian problem. As he seeks Bihar response and plea by slain officers by a new Quad meet with US, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Doval discusses infrastructure plans in Gulf. Beware of global stress spillovers FM. Wouldn't remain silent if there is a constitutional crisis in Bengal, says Governor Bose. As Bengal bans screening of the Kerala story, Union Minister aids out at Mamata. Is to Congress clarified tweet and sovereignty. An eerie silence prevails in Flashpoint Churachandpur. An orphanage in the district is running out of supplies. While security forces try to evacuate mighty people, residents are say hundreds of tribals are seeking shelter wherever they can find. 25 standard students brought to Mumbai. Curfew relaxed in several areas of strife with Manipur. 20,000 sent home. Official. Exponential rise in attacks on Christians, says plea in Sessi. Vasundhara tennis Rajasthan CM's claim. High Court doesn't have power to direct changes to a scheduled tribes list. CJI, it is a presidential power to designate a scheduled caste as scheduled tribe. Five more cheetahs to be released into wild at Kuno. They will be released into free roaming conditions before the onset of monsoon in June. 20 big cats have been brought from Namibia and South Africa since September 2022. Two have died. DGCA asks GoPass to stop selling flight tickets immediately. Unseasonal snowfall eats normal life in Kashmir Valley. SC asks DGCA to respond to plea and unruly passengers. Scam exposed in purchase of diesel by railways from international oil companies. Sanjay Mishra wouldn't continue as ED chief behind November. Center. Low pressure area forming over by Bay of Bengal IMD. ED seizes properties of Serum Institute co-founder. Anuman, the non-Paril. Abdul Samed redeemed himself, says Sunrises coach Badani. Samson reused the new ball that ruined Sandeep Royal's day. Have been intentional about trying to get under its due to place. The Asian Cricket Council moves Asia Cup out of Pakistan. Hazel and Rinku help KK full of a thrilling win. The former slams a 23 ball 42 while the latter smashes a 4 up the final delivery. Nitish Rana half century keeps the house chase Hanko. Spinner one Suyash Narayan limit BBKs to 179. Mumbai Indians and Royal Challengers will be other to move above mid-table medal. Kishan replaces Rahul in India's squad for WTC final. Verstappen wins ahead of for each Extremes Championship Hall lead. Savita to lead India for Australia to Mashit returns to training with PSG after suspension. Thailand best Australia to win LGPA International. Jadhav keen to make the most of RCB call-up. Ghoshal goes down fighting to Elias in pre-quarterfinals. Ajit climbs ninth spot, finishes ahead of Achinta. Alcaraz battles past strap and retains Madrid title. Sachin forced easy win over Navok. Day G blunder against West Ham cost Manchester United year. This is about today. This is one page is given in the mid back page. This is and this is Xi Jinping to host first meet with South Central Asia leader. Ukraine shoots down 35 drones and attacks skillful. Vehicle rams groups, Chinese boats cross Indian and Asian ships doing military exercise. Iran hangs two men in a rare blasphemy case as execution surges. Executions surge. Taiwan avoids fast-tracked US weapons. Indices rise up to bank stocks rebound from Friday's slide. RBI gold reserves rose by 34 tons to 79.5 tons in financial 23, year 23. Canara Bank Q4 net shows 90% on income. The increase in India's coal imports in financial year 2022 to 23. The number of passengers any train travel in 2022-23. The Iranian-made drone shot down by Ukraine over Kiev. The number of Go First planes that are to be deregistered. The number of PSL investors who got their money back. The lack of a drug recall law in India. What happens when substandard drugs are indiscriminately distributed in the market? Have there been discussions on implementing a drug recall law in the country? Why are pre-pharmaceutical companies resisting centralized drug recall authority? Resisting a centralized drug recall authority. What are the regulations to curtail misleading food ads? What are the stipulations under the Food Safety and Standard after Advertising and Claims Regulations to 2018? Power of one for all. How micro-targeting campaigns affect the vulnerable Indian voter? Does it matter for the purpose of examination? No. On May 7th, in the first coronation in the United Kingdom in 70 years, Charles III was crowned king. A quiz on the rulers of Great Britain. This is ninth date, but it's given on May 7th. What's happened in the history? So I hope you guys read the newspaper. Reading the newspaper for 2 hours minimum to improve your communication. So follow the same tips, and I am sure you would learn very easily English the next 30 days. This is the 24th video I'm going to update. Please subscribe to my channel, like and comment. If you like the video, please share the video with your friends, colleagues and neighbors who are very interested in learning. So see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.